Hello, welcome to another Georgia Fintech Academy podcast. We are here today to celebrate an upcoming event called Fintech Meetup. It is one of the largest industry conferences. We're able to partner with Fintech Meetup and Hive to bring a cohort of students to this conference to meet with industry leaders. In preparation for that, we're starting to get a taste of that interaction that we're hoping to continue to cultivate while at Fintech Meetup this year. And we have Benjamin. Benjamin is a charismatic student who I met through KSU, Kennesaw State University. And I'll let you, Benjamin, introduce yourself as we get started.
Laura, thank you. My name is Benjamin Mettler. As Laura said, I'm from KSU. I'm excited to be here. I think it's a wonderful opportunity to get a lot more experience.
Exactly.
So it's great to get this collaboration going. And I'm happy to be here with Michael Bugno. He's from Fiserv as a VP. And it's nice to meet you. And thank you for your time.
You as well, Benjamin. Thank you. And thanks, Laura.
Perfect. So I guess we're ready to get started, Benjamin. You got the first question lined up for us?
Was fintech always the plan, or did you find your way into it?
I certainly found my way into it, and I'll start off just to give a little background for everyone. But since we were talking about Kennesaw State, I feel very much that I need to tell you all where I went to school. And I went to Marywood University in Scranton, Pennsylvania. And believe it or not, Benjamin, I was a business and theater major, so probably the complete opposite spectrum of fintech that you can imagine. And so I really, when you think about my career, I really fell into it. I started off working at Walt Disney World in Orlando, Florida. I spent 5 years there. I was doing a whole lot of things, but the bulk of my career really focused on recruiting students to come down for the Walt Disney World college program. And so, when I think about Laura doing this intro and talking about you as a student, this is the kind of stuff that I love, right? Like your energy is just so amazing. And I think just
Thank you.
being able to work with students and share, collaborate together, it's very helpful for me in my career, obviously helpful for you too. And so, as I did that career in entertainment, I moved back to New York and I worked at a Food Network for quite a few years, Comedy Central. And then I spent about 6 years after that working for a company that focused on CAD CAM. And so, I started getting into that different side of out of the entertainment realm. And someone that I worked for at that company, she was the CMO. She actually started working in fintech and she was like, you've got to get, involved in this. It's the hottest thing happening. That was about 11 years ago. And the rest is history. I'm just having a blast.
It's funny you say that because the KSU program, we're making everyone feel like fintech is not just secluded to just coders or people that are like in the very technical side of things. It's wonderful to hear that it doesn't matter where you thought you were going to go to where you are now. So
I tell students all the time that you're really in control of your destiny, your future, and
Yeah.
in this industry, you're right. It's there's a place or there's space for everyone. And Michael, I don't know if I ever told you, but I have a fine arts degree, and I went
Oh,
off to get my master's in graphic design, which is why people always are like, "Oh, you're so creative and you do all this visual stuff," and I'm like, "Yeah, there's a reason."
I love it.
yeah.
Yeah, that's definitely, we'll have to do a sidebar when we're together next to talk a little bit about that.
Yeah.
But
Well, I mean, oh,
I was
sorry.
going to say, Benjamin, I was going to ask you, people maybe not listening to the podcast now don't know, but we talked a little bit before, and you were telling me about your background, your undergraduate and your graduate degree. And you were talking about cybersecurity. And
Yeah.
I was going to say, the one thing I love about fintech in general, there is never a day that I am not learning something.
Yeah.
And even if I thought I knew it, I'm learning something new about it.
Yeah.
So, I'd be interested in your thoughts on how do you find the industry and sort of what's happening and how things are changing and, what keeps it exciting for you?
Hmm.
I like that. What kind of intrigues me about this industry the most is that there's so much um every day is not the same, right?
Right.
And if you're
Yeah.
always and we're kind of the forefront of a lot of the advancements that we have across other industries. So that's what I really enjoy about it the most is just
Yeah.
staying on
That's
top of
awesome.
that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Be on your toes. Yeah.
Yeah. So, the second question I want to ask you: what is one skill students often underestimate that makes a big difference?
That's a great question. I think, for me, when I think about sort of where my career has taken me and how I've been very successful, I think it's that person to person contact or just having those communication skills. I think today in a world, I'm probably sharing too much about my age, but like I literally, when I went to college,
No.
we just started using email, right? So
Okay.
like the world has changed drastically, since then. And when I think about, how we're communicating today, we're doing this podcast and we're all online and we're remote. There's obviously things about it that are wonderful, but
Yeah.
I think there are things that, you know, are just so important about that face to face. And for our audience that's listening, they don't know that Laura and I had met face to face at a trade show. And so there was that in person connection, and that immediate bond of like, hey, she was there speaking, I was there speaking, and we were collaborating on some other things. And we've kept in touch via LinkedIn and some other platforms. And I think, just having that bond and being able to talk with people, work with them, communicate, share personal things, talk about work. I find that is something that's like really helpful, especially in a world today where there's a lot of texting or email. And it's funny, we'll run into problems at work, with a whole host of things, right? And my team will come to me and they'll be like, "Hey, I'm having problems with X." And I'm like, "Did you pick up the phone and call Ben?" And they're like, "Oh no, I didn't even think of that." And I'm like, "Yeah, just give them a call. Like ask them like, 'Hey, X, Y, and Z.'" And sometimes we just get so in the rut of like, I got to text Ben back. He's got to, email me back. I got to do this. And so I think sometimes just having that human connection, I found it to be super successful in what I do. And when you think about events, if you didn't communicate or be in person with someone, we'd be dead in the water, right? Like that's
Yeah.
really the foundation, of what I do. So I think to me that's an important skill set that you always need to learn how to
Yeah.
hone those skills, right?
Yeah.
I
I
don't know,
totally agree.
Benjamin,
Yeah.
how you feel because I know we just recently saw each other. KSU has an annual digital payment seminar, and the purpose of that is to bring some industry leaders to talk about different topics, but then it also allows students to interact with industry. Uh,
Yeah.
and there's a little bit of like social anxiety and hesitation, I think. I don't know if you agree with me at all, Benjamin,
Oh, I
about that.
totally agree. Yeah. No, I totally agree with you on that. And I think what for the most part, I think we've gotten two big factors kind of contributed to that. I think it's a lot more reliance on the formality, like Michael was saying, with just like, okay, we gotta text or email and then confirm and then just go that way. Or in the same note, we could also get too caught up with being too not not seeing us as just humans. We're all humans,
Yeah.
so we get like, oh, this person's got this job title, and it's like, sure, it's impressive, but don't underestimate your own, ability to actually just communicate with them as a human.
Yeah. Don't
um
underestimate your own value.
and then the second note is more, I think COVID really kind of impacted how we were able to engage. Maybe not the older people affected by it, but it's more so the younger. Because I mean, that getting used to that face to face interaction is just something that you have to build up. And I'm like, I see it in our generation. I'm 25, so like I see it in our generations. Speaking of COVID, Michael, you mentioned that
Yep.
you created the Bugno Buzz. Is that correct?
Yep. I did.
Yes.
I
So tell us
did.
about that a little bit.
Yeah, so the bug no buzz is something that's, a bit personal. And so what I really did during COVID, I noticed that events obviously shut down, right? And so it was a way to be able to keep relevant and share with people what I was doing or we as a company were doing within the industry.
Yeah.
And so, if you take a deeper dive into the bug no buzz, there's a bunch of different pieces or components that are part of it. And one of that is exactly what you talked about, right? Talking to folks about our industry and different things that we're doing, right? And it could be something as easy as today I'm talking about PayFac, tomorrow I'm talking about, Fiserv recently acquired Stone Castle. So maybe it's like sharing with people what that is or how,
Yeah.
having that under the tool belt, I'll call it, of Fiserv,
Yeah.
we're able to help our clients and they can help the people that they work with, right? So
Yeah.
it's this whole piece on that. And then there's another piece that's really important to I've just found throughout my career. I am part of the LGBTQ community. And so the Bug No Buzz was really built to help all minorities and
Okay.
just give people a voice.
Yeah.
And you don't even have to be a minority to obviously be a part of it or listen to it. But I think it's exactly what you kind of were talking about. If you're not part of minority, you still have to be empowered to, whatever you're saying, maybe talk to someone or have that
Yeah.
courage. Well, maybe there's something that I'm offering on a post that day that talks about, you know, a 101 on how to do a face to face with someone, right? And
Yeah.
so there's just all these tips and tricks of what I find or have found important throughout my career that I
Okay.
want to share with others. right? And I'll share something like it could be something simple. Like last week, I was traveling and I was walking down the street, and in a building up high, there was letters that somebody had cut out, and it just said, "Be a good human." And so I
Mm.
posted that to social media, and the only words I put were "Start here." So it could be
Yeah.
this simple message of like, remember to treat people like people, right? Like
Yeah.
we're all in this world trying to get ahead, move forward, learn something new, but we sometimes forget, take a deep breath. Like we're all in this together.
Yeah.
And we can figure things out together, right? There's power in numbers and with people and, our collective brains working together. So
Yeah.
that's something that was just really important to me.
No, for sure.
Wow.
Yeah.
Actually kind of goes back to what you were talking about earlier, Benjamin, about people, students feeling nervous,
Yeah.
engaging with someone their senior, thinking that they have nothing to offer in the conversation. And it
Yeah.
is, it is, I think something that we should keep in mind, especially with the students that are coming down to Vegas. It's going to be a whole nother world of interaction. A lot of people are going to be welcoming because you look different. You're going to be a minority in the fact of there's not a lot of young people kind of navigating these expo halls at these
Yeah.
events.
Yeah.
I don't know
And
how
and
you
I
feel
would
about that, Michael.
yeah, I was gonna say, like, I'd love to, take it or leave it, but I would love to give you some advice on that. Like when you head to Vegas, take it
Yeah.
from a guy who's been to Vegas many a times, but I think, plan out your time while you're there, and I
Okay.
think what Laura was talking about, it's really important, like, throw all caution to the wind. If you meet somebody, maybe have a few questions that ask them whatever, where'd they go to school? What was their major? Where are they working? I think just little things where you can start to meet with people and
Yeah.
connect with them, because I think that's really important. And if you build, maybe if you think about it ahead of time and build out like, hey, today I'm going to ask 5 people this question, right?
Yeah.
Tomorrow it's going to be this. If you start with something simple, I think it also takes the pressure off of like feeling like, oh my gosh, what am I going to do today?
Yeah.
When should I talk to someone, or what do I do for lunch? Like, I think if you kind of break it down into these little snippets throughout the day,
Yeah.
it helps it be less daunting.
Mm.
Okay. Yeah. No, I'll definitely utilize that because
Of that, like, maybe I'll kind of help get you ready for that. But
yeah.
when we think about, we're obviously talking about Fintech Meetup and you're going to be headed to Vegas.
Yeah.
What, when you think about what that journey is going to be or those few days are going to be for you, what are you hoping most to get out of your trip there or your time, together with people in the industry?
I think for the most part, it would be connecting. I mean, yeah, mostly connecting. Getting into fintech, it's interesting because it's a big, but it feels like it's a small world in that sense, right? Like it's so like even when connecting on LinkedIn, it's like, oh, I know this person within this person. Then it's like it's just it's bizarre how
Yeah.
connected we really are, even though we don't really see it in like day to day, right? I mean,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
just bizarre. So
Yeah.
a lot more. I'm focused on the connections, and especially at being an academician, I have to say this, just learning, learning, like maybe something that might that's a new technology or a new process in how we look at fintech. So
Yeah.
really
Yeah.
excited about that for sure.
Yeah.
That's awesome. That's
I'm
awesome.
glad I'm glad you're taking that approach, Benjamin, because my first conference, I know it's not supposed to be about me, this conversation, but
No,
my
that's
first
good. That's good.
experience, I had to beg my leadership to go, and I finally got to go, and I
Yeah.
I proposed, like, I would host
Yeah.
lunch and learns. I was
Yeah.
gonna come back with so much knowledge, but when I went, I had, 45 interactions a day. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah,
And,
yeah,
notes from these 5, targeted panel discussions,
yeah,
16 leads, you know what I mean? And
yeah,
I think sometimes, like, we overdo it when we try to strategize around event. Obviously, you should have some business goals and you're trying to get, return on the investment to go, but at the
yeah,
same time, backing up and having that fresh look that you have, that perspective of like, I'm building a network. I'm trying to connect. What are the top 4 things that I should think about, I should care about in fintech?
yeah,
And from a
yeah,
cybersecurity perspective, where is there risk? When we're talking about
yeah,
all
Right.
this technology evolution, we're talking about AI. Like, what are people thinking about in the cyberspace?
yeah,
And so those, should be the tenets or the pillars that you focus on. I love that perspective, and I think I might need to take a note from your book, Benjamin, because This one I definitely because my goals extend to you and to the
Yeah,
other, the other
Yeah.
students that we're bringing.
yeah,
Yeah, it would be fun to see what everybody's goals are prior to, and then what they
Yes.
yeah.
learned after, kinda do
Oh yeah,
that. Because it's if you've never been to a trade show before or some sort of, like the Fintech Meetup,
yeah,
it's you might think it's one thing and it is totally something different, you know?
yeah, yeah.
So
No,
yeah.
that's a good
Yeah.
point. That's a good
Yeah.
point.
Yeah, I honestly, that's where I'm more excited about is not the people that I plan to meet, but it's the people that I just bump into. That's gonna be a
Right.
lot more of that, like, we're just like, "Oh, we're just taking the elevator ride together." It's like, "Oh, how are you doing?" Just
Oh, yeah.
those kinda connections I feel, it's just a lot more unique. So I'm looking forward to those. And honestly, yeah, Laura, I do definitely appreciate you, extending this opportunity, this great opportunity for us. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to it, so,
Yeah.
yeah.
Thank you. I did not
Yeah.
tell Benjamin to say that. Thank you.
If you were starting your career today, what would, you focus on first?
Wow. That's a great question. I think I'd really kind of go with my gut on this one. Like right now, my title is Experiential Client Programming.
Okay.
And no matter what industry I was in, it really is all about the people or the
Yeah,
clients you're working with, right? Like when I was in entertainment, that industry and working at Disney, it was about, the guests that came to the park or, what have you. When it was Food Network, it was the eyeballs, watching the screens. And,
yeah,
here at Fiserv, what I love about the role here is we work with like large banks, credit unions. There's tons of stuff on the financial solution side. And
yeah,
then on the merchant side, you've got small businesses. And I think, it's cool to come to work every day and be able to help all kinds of people solve their problems, right?
yeah,
It could be a small business that's struggling with payroll, right? And
yeah,
how that works. Or it could be a large bank or credit union that's struggling with how do we bring AI into like this antiquated, whatever, financial solutions world. And so I find that all to be really cool. And again, I think, if I'm thinking about my younger self, like I think it's just that ability to understand, your clients, your guests, whoever you're working with to really help them solve their problems, right? Like when you think about sales, sure, you can sell somebody a solution, but that's not what it's about, right? Like,
yeah,
I want to make sure that if I know Ben is having a problem or Laura's having a problem, what are we able to do to kind of mitigate that, like,
yeah,
or fix it so that your business or whatever you're doing can run better or
yeah,
so that you don't have to focus on it, right? If you've got a
yeah,
bakery and you're this amazing baker, you should be concentrating on making those cupcakes or that carrot cake and not about trying to pay people or
yeah,
schedule your staff or whatever it is, right? And that's where a tool like Clover can come into the mix, to help you with that, right? So those are the kind of things that I just think, you know, from day one, if somebody was like, hey, use this as your North Star,
yeah.
to me, I think that's golden advice.
Okay.
Mm. Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's amazing how you're helping people. Like,
Yeah.
on the surface, it does look
Yeah,
transactional, looks
Yeah.
businessy, but then deep in the roots of it is helping people, and I love that you said solving problems, Michael, because that's
Yeah.
what got me, from my fine arts background into the industry was project management. I love telling people what to do, and I could
Yeah.
do that for a living. But to your point, like, I love solving problems. I love the
Yeah.
puzzle, and it's satisfying to be able to say I helped achieve that, you know?
Yeah.
And
yeah,
so I don't think students sometimes hear what you said because they're focused on, I'm getting this data science degree, I'm getting the
Right.
cybersecurity degree, and I can get, this analyst role, and this is the career ladder that I have in the next 20 years. And I'm like, you don't need to have all of that.
Yeah.
yeah,
It doesn't need
yeah,
all
yeah,
to be
yeah,
figured out right now. There's plenty of opportunities. And at the core, this is what I enjoy doing the most. A
Yeah.
lot of us would be in the same camp,
Yeah.
yeah,
and
Yeah.
you would not be limited in your opportunities because you're
yeah,
not
100%.
pursuing that like pinpoint. And so why limit yourself when you could, do so many different things, you
I
yeah.
know?
agree.
Agree with it. Yeah, my background is accounting, so like, yeah, if you get the idea of,
Right.
oh, it's gonna just be like pushing numbers all day, and it's like, well, you can. There's way more to it
Yeah.
as far as like other opportunities within it. But I mean, with the fintech, it's like it's even more opportunities than that. It's funny how many companies you think, oh, I know what their business is and what their business is focused on, and how
Yeah.
much it is completely diverted to a different focal point.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's just insane thinking about, it reminds me of my negotiations class, right? Where we talk about look at the problem, not the people. So look at the
Mhm.
problem, focus on that, work on that. Don't get too caught up in the emotions with the engaging with the people, focus on the problem, right? So taking that kind of approach at it, I mean, there's a lot of problems out there that we could focus on.
100%.
There really
There
is.
is.
There really is. Don't get me started about entrepreneurship. You're right. So I guess as we wrap up, Michael, are there any lasting thoughts that you have for, Benjamin, for all the students that we have, for our audience?
Nothing crazy. I mean, I would just like end by asking, like, what do you think, Benjamin, if I were to ask you about fintech today, like, what's one word that you think describes it? I mean, one word is tough, but like,
Yeah,
so you can use more than one word. But like, what do you? I'd be interested from a student's perspective, right? Like, maybe you haven't been fully immersed. Obviously, you're in the real world, but like
yeah.
in the real world working, like, how do you see, from your lens, what are you seeing fintech and how you would describe it today?
Mm.
I would say, I know you said one word, but I'll
No,
do
you
two.
can. You can
At least two.
I would say diverse and opportunistic. Those
wow.
two really settle for fintech for me right now because, and being in the metro Atlanta area, I mean, like the amount of companies that are here is just, it's
Man,
insane. I keep saying insane because it's just
no, it is.
impressive how many different avenues there are.
There
Like
is.
one payment processing company is not the same as another payment. It's
No.
like they have their own little niche and focus, and like what we're talking about, where it's like they focus on different problems. So, um, with that, I mean, but they still focus on the you know payment processing. So
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%.
yeah, I'm excited about
That's
that.
awesome.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
what? How would you? Not to make a cheap question out of it, but like, well, what about you?
I would, I don't think, I wonder if it's two words or one, maybe there's a dash in it, but I would say
Yeah.
ever changing. And I
Okay.
think, that's kind of what I love about it. Right. And
Yeah.
as you were just talking a little bit about it, you made me think like one thing I think that's really important for students to do. Like, I think sometimes we get caught up in the whole, like, oh, I got offered a job and I'm going to take it because I
Yeah.
don't know. I think one of the things that I would say to any student is make sure you believe in the company, or those
Yeah.
people that are running it. Because I think you're right. Like, I look at a company like Fiserv, we are huge and we service so many people. But
Yeah.
what I love is when we sit down at a town hall with our leadership and our CEO, he is so focused on the client. And that makes my job awesome, right? Because,
Yeah.
like, that means the guy at the top, he believes in what I do, right?
Yeah.
And, that's important for any career. And then I think about, we've got two co-presidents here, and Divya is one of them, and she's focused on AI. I can't tell you day in and day out, like, how AI has helped in everything I do. Like, I just think about a year ago, and what I was doing and how much more productive and quicker I'm able to do things. So I think about you in cybersecurity, like, there's so much that goes, like, we could have a whole discussion on AI,
Yeah. Yeah.
but I just love that, like, our industry, I think it's embracing it. There's a
Yeah.
lot of things we got to check out in it. I do think, again, leadership and the company, make sure you believe in those and, like, it's where you want to be. Cause
Yeah.
I think ultimately, like, that's what gives me joy day in and day out, with what I do and the people that I work with, whether they're clients, merchants, you name it.
Yeah.
Mhm. Oh,
Yeah.
that's
That's
good.
good insight. Yeah, and I
Yeah.
definitely agree with you on that because that. Yeah. Yeah. I'll agree.
Yeah.
My
And
little
Laura,
experience.
I
Yeah.
was going to say, and Laura, what's your word for how would you describe fintech today?
Oh, I was
Yeah.
gonna say innovative along the same lines. I mean, now to your point with AI, there's a lot of folks that have kind of a doomsday perspective. And for me as a what do you call it? An early adopter of a user of like
Yeah.
Michael said, I'm a super user pretty much. I honestly I come up with a different way to use it and apply it in different safe, responsible ways every day on my side. Obviously, I'm not dealing with customer data any longer out of the industry in the kind of format that I'm in. But yeah, to your point, it's there's so many opportunities. I
There
was
Yeah.
joking
really is.
around. I was like, if I was 20 years younger, Lord knows what I would be doing right now.
I know. And can you imagine if we had this stuff 20 years ago, like how computers and the phone, like I remember back in the day when I would travel for work, I had to print out directions from, and people probably thought like the phones were going to be the death of us or whatever. But,
Yep.
I think with any kind of technology, there's always those risks. But I think, again, it's how you use it and really how you can help enhance what you do,
Yeah.
whether it's for your client, for the group you work with, for the company you work for,
Yeah.
et cetera.
Well, Benjamin, I'm actually curious if you had a magic genie, a fintech meetup genie that kind of popped out of the bottle and said, you have one wish, not three, but one.
Okay.
What would you want to happen coming out of this conference?
Man.
And you can't say hit it, you're gonna bet it all in black and hit it big or or something. Please don't say
Ah,
that.
man. Okay. There's just it's hard to narrow it down to just one because there's so many different. I'm looking forward to so many different avenues of it.
You
I
can
mean,
say it could be you could get your dream job, like what? Like literally anything you want. What would it be?
I think maybe get a good foundation in understanding how to be an entrepreneur in fintech.
Oh, okay.
Because that seems I'm looking at starting something, but I'm also kind of I'm on the verge of it of like I'm on and off of it. But for the most part, yeah, maybe more so in the if I could just wish it, I'd be like, just give me a multi-million-dollar or billion-dollar
Yeah.
company. Yeah.
But then you wouldn't
So
have the knowledge. I love that you said it like that,
I'd have the
Benjamin.
money. I wouldn't care at that point. But other than that, yeah.
All right. Well, I think
Be
we
funny.
can actually make that wish come true. So we'll
100%.
work that into our plans. But yeah, that's awesome. Well, thank you both for such a enlightening
Sure.
conversation today. This was such
Right?
a great way to kick off this series, and I appreciate both your perspectives for this call. Can you let our audience know how to get in touch with you? I know Michael from
Yep.
your brand and what you've built, and then obviously we talked about the Bugno buzz. But how do people connect with you first?
Yeah, for sure. I'm on LinkedIn, so people can certainly get in touch with me there. It's Michael Bugno, and I work at obviously Fiserv, so you can just put that in the search bar, and find me there. You can certainly ping me or message me and connect with me as well. I'd be happy to connect for sure.
Perfect. And
Yeah.
Benjamin, you're available on LinkedIn as well?
Yes. LinkedIn, Benjamin Willhite-Mettler.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll put it in the show notes, so all of you that
That's
are
awesome.
following along
Yeah.
don't have to
Okay.
type Benjamin Willett-Mettler, but we'll have a link to both profiles in the show notes and ways for everyone to continue to stay connected with the Fintech Academy as well. So thank
That's
you all for
awesome.
joining, and we'll talk to you all again soon.
Thank you.
Sounds
Y'all have a
good.
good one.
Take care.
All right.